Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another astrology update for the week. Today, I'm going to be talking about the new moon that is taking place in the sign of Cancer at 14 degrees on the 5th of July. In the last video, I mentioned that when the sun reaches the sign of Cancer, that is the solstice, and Cancer is the domicile or the home sign of the moon. Of course, this being the quintessential new moon. And with every new moon, there is a new beginning. There are seeds being planted, and we might be beginning some new routines. So for this particular new moon in the sign of Cancer, there are a couple of other aspects that I would like to mention as they may add some more flavor to whatever is cooking in your kitchen. And so these new beginnings might be occurring in our emotional or our domestic spheres of life. So that could be new beginnings in the areas that are related to particularly home, family, and one's personal security, because these are themes of Cancer. So there might be a focus on nurturing and taking care of ourselves. So self-care is a big part of the Cancer theme, and especially taking care of loved ones, because nurturing is also a big key word for the sign of Cancer. And this creates that sense of security, that sense of safety, and that comfort of that shell of the crab. Also during this time, anytime we're looking at something to do with the moon, we have heightened sensitivity. Our primal intuition is activated. And so there might be indeed heightened emotional sensitivity. Our emotions may be running high during this time. And that's because Cancer is oftentimes described as sensitive or intuitive. And so the advice here is to honor those feelings, honor that heightened sensitivity, that heightened intuition in whatever way feels right for you. So this is a great time for looking within, deep introspection, and connecting with your inner self in order to identify those insights that are coming in through this heightened state of intuition. So now that we have discussed the new moon in the sign of Cancer, there are other transits that are occurring whilst this new moon is happening, and one of those is a very tight aspect between this planet, which is Saturn, in the sign of Pisces, traveling retrograde, which we'll talk more about in a moment, and this green line here with the asterisk is indicating this is a sextile, and you would know that anyways because they are at exactly the same degree and one house over from one another. Saturn in the sign of Pisces, and who is this? Mars in the sign of Taurus. The earth sign, the earth yin domicile of Venus, hosting Mars, the god of war. And so oftentimes this archetype is the bull in the china shop. Mars is this planet of action, but he's in this sign that's kind of holding him up. This is an earth sign, so it's not so easy to move through. Now, sextiles are an opportunity. So what we might conceptually pick up from this transit is that Mars in Taurus is determined and patient. And oftentimes, it's funny because Saturn is the planet of patience. But Saturn in Pisces, while retrograde, so traveling apparently backwards from our geocentric perspective, turns inward. And so this means that there is introspection and spiritual discipline. So discipline to be introspective, to be in this kind of dreamy Piscean spiritual realm. And this fosters steady progress towards our goals and practical. This also describes sustained effort, the importance of sustained effort and perseverance. So this indicates that we are looking at a new beginning that is a long-term goal. Projects that require dedication and commitment and devotion. The nice thing about Mars in Taurus is that while it might feel a little bit restricting, it might feel a little bit held up, like we're pressing the brakes instead of the gas, there is a sense of groundedness and realism that Taurus is bringing to Mars. At the same time, Saturn retrograde in Pisces is encouraging us, inviting us to reflect on the past actions that we may have made that required adjustments, that required us to go back and maybe make amendments. So, this is a great combination for finding practical solutions to problems, especially those that require us to balance this heightened sense of intuition with something very practical, which is like a long-term goal. And meanwhile, one other aspect that I do want to mention, because this planet is co-present with the new moon, this planet, this green planet here, is Venus. And Venus is in the sign of Cancer, which is very nice, nurturing, and Venus is in this aspect, if we follow this red line down to this K on top of a circle. This is Chiron. Now, Chiron is often referred to as the wounded healer. And so, this square aspect isn't necessarily as nice as a sextile, because a sextile is an opportunity where a square is a bit of a conflict, or at least not seeing eye to eye. So, Venus, of course, is this planet that's often to do with balance, peace, harmony, relationships, women, sisterhood, and a lot of these kind of beautiful artistic ideas. What we have is this square between Venus and Cancer and Chiron in Aries that brings to the surface unresolved wounds that are related to those very same things, which are relationships, harmony, peace, balance, self-worth. We might have unresolved wounds in these areas. That's what Chiron in Aries, the sign of I am, is pointing to. Chiron is bringing to the surface those emotional wounds. So this is a great time here for emotional healing. We are encouraged to confront those wounds because Venus applies this healing balm. So we can look to and address those issues that have been causing us pain or insecurity or just emotional upheaval. While Venus in Cancer is looking to nurture and apply that balm, that healing balm, Chiron in Aries wants to be independent, wants to be assertive. And so the tension exists in that Venus is wanting to address the emotional wounds, where Chiron is saying, I don't have any wounds, I'm not hurting, in this sign of Aries. So there is the need here for balance between nurturing oneself and others while also asserting the personal needs and boundaries that one might have. So we have a new moon in Cancer, which is ideal for setting intentions that are related to emotional well-being, our home, our family, and it's a time to focus on what makes us feel secure and nurtured. While Mars sextiles Saturn, we can use steady and disciplined energy to lay the groundwork for those new beginnings and focus on practical steps and sustained effort to achieve our goals. And keeping in mind that our emotional wounds may rise, especially in relationships. And this is a time for healing and growth, even if it feels uncomfortable. So some of the things that we can focus on are setting those intentions. First and foremost, the new moon, as with any new moon, is a new beginning. Set those intentions, clear intentions for emotional and domestic home life. And remember that we might be focusing on long-term goals here that don't necessarily have that immediate feedback. So, with all that being said, do take the time to set your intentions for this new moon and be sure to take care of yourself.